Now, we start this morning in KZN, where the murder case of slain rapper Kiernan, aka Forbes, and his celebrity chef friend Tebello Motsoane will resume in the Durban Magistrates Court today. Now, in the last court appearance, the state added more charges against 5 of the 7 suspects accused in the murder of Forbes and Motsoane. The 5 suspects, Lindokuhle Mkhwanazi, Lindani Ndimande, Eddie Mieza, Mziwetemba Kwabeni and Lindokuhle Ndimande are all expected to appear for a formal bail application, and they face 12 charges which include murder, attempted murder, the illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, as well as money laundering. And the state alleges that the charge sheet that Kwabeni, Kwabeni is alleged to be the coordinator of the alleged hit on AKA on the 10th of February last year. It also says that Kwabeni orchestrated and facilitated the payment of the money and for the other accused. And in the charge sheet, the state says that the payment was done on the 11th of February, which was the day after the murder. It's believed that more than 800,000 rand was shared among the 5 accused. We cross now to our reporter Jade Paulser, who is, of course, outside the Durban Magistrates Court, just to get a sense, Jade, of what is to be expected today. Of course, a formal bail application. But what have been the latest developments in the case so far?
Well, a very good morning, Sakina, and I think all eyes will be on the courtroom, especially for the adoring fans of AKA, his family members, as well as the family of Tebello Motsoane. And if we're looking at this case, a lot of things have come out, Sakina, and I presume a lot more will come out today. Today is the formal bail application, and that's where the state is going to be crossing their T's, dotting their I's, just looking at whether these suspects are a flight risk. We do know that the 2 Ndimande brothers are still in Eswatini waiting for extradition or deportation back to South Africa. But just looking at these suspects, they now have an additional charge of money laundering. And as you said, the 4th suspect there, Mr. Kwabeni, was also, we were also heard in court that he was the organizer, he was the orchestrator, and he actually paid the suspects a day after the hit on AKA in Florida Road. But what we know about the suspects, that the Ndimande brothers, the 2 that are appearing today, who happen to also be related to the other 2 in Eswatini, come from a notorious family. We are told that they come from a taxi a business, and they all reside in Durban, very, very notorious, Kasakina. If we're looking at the other suspect, Lindokuhle Mkhwanazi, also a taxi owner, businessman, and then Kwabeni, the orchestrator, he is said to be a mining boss and a businessman as well. So these are very high-profile people within their communities. These are very well-known people in their communities. And also, if we're looking at the Ndimande brothers, we are told as a media that they are very feared in KwaZulu-Natal. So in terms of the state unpacking how their involvement relates to this case and why exactly they were chosen, it's going to be very interesting to see how it's woven out and how the state, brings their case to court. But today we are looking at the formal bail application. Now, what I do know is that 2 of the suspects are incarcerated. It remains to be seen if they're going to be applying for bail. I doubt it, Sakina, but all eyes will be on the orchestrator and the mastermind, Kwabeni, who is said to have facilitated the payment towards the 4 other suspects, and they will possibly be trying to get bail, looking at the 2 Ndimande brothers. So it's going to be a lengthy bail hearing. We're going to be going and unpacking every single suspect. Are they a flight risk? What pending charges do they have? Where exactly they reside? So it's going to be very interesting when all of this comes out in court. In the last court sitting, Sakina, I did speak to the father of AKA Tony Forbes, and I asked him, will he be present today? So there's a likelihood that Mr. Forbes will be present alongside other family members. I think last week his bodyguard, AKA's bodyguard, Anwar Khan, he represented the family, and I saw him and had a few words with him, and he said no, he was going to be in court. But today we are expecting some of the family members of Forbes. We haven't seen the Motsoane family in court yet. We do know that Tebello Tibz's mother passed away last year, so it remains to be seen whether Mr. Motsoane, the father of Tebello Tibz Motsoane, will be in court today, or whether other family members will be representing that particular family. And I think it's very important that we try and get a word with the Motsoane family as well, because they too lost their loved one. It's not only the Forbes family that are reeling the loss of their son, but the Motsoane family also lost a loved one, Sakina.
Jay, just a quick one on the so-called mastermind. So in that regard, mastermind is being used in terms of coordinating the payments and, of course, getting the weapons together and making sure that everybody was on a post to carry out this hit. But is there also a different understanding of a mastermind who may have commissioned this hit? Is there any talk around that of, whether there's further investigations? What are the authorities telling us?
Well, this mastermind word has been thrown around quite loosely. When we spoke to the Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhonazi, he did say this was the coordinator and he was the mastermind. And I think when police were doing the investigation, they were looking at who hired the hitman, who paid the hitman, and in that regard, he was the coordinator and the mastermind behind the entire plot. But it remains to be seen where exactly the word came from and who the higher echelons actually hired Mr. Ngwabeni to facilitate this entire orchestration of AKA's death. And I think that is what the public wants to know. That is what both families want to know. They do not believe that Ngwabeni is, in fact, the orchestrator, well, rather the mastermind of this hit. They do believe there's someone else that's sitting behind this entire plot, and they want that person to be apprehended and arrested by police. So that is what is out on the streets. Tony Forbes has also come out quite emphatically, Sakina, saying that he believes that the mastermind still needs to be arrested. He does not believe that these are the only suspects involved in his son's murder, and he hopes that police will do a thorough investigation to bring the real mastermind to book.
Well, thank you so much, Jade Paulser, speaking to us there from outside the Durban Magistrates Court. We'll check in with Jade if there are any further developments in this regard.